Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the pod. Matt, Kim, Peter Saddington.
Good morning, guys.
It is the day after 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July week, man.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th.
What'd you do this weekend?
I did a whole bunch of nothing other than the fact that I was racing all Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sunday chilled, and then got ready for the fireworks that was supposed to happen this week in our town, but it was rainy as hell, so it didn't end up happening. What about you? What was your weekend all about?
I spent the entire weekend with my family, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. We spent Monday, we went over there to spend some time with grandma, grandpa, and that was a good day. And then I guess my wife is starting to get used to my mother helping out with the kid. She was very apprehensive about it at first. She was more, I want full control, but it's tiring.
Yeah, well, to have your relatives be able to kind of lend a hand is a big deal.
So finally, she's starting to give up a little bit. And we were there Monday, and my mom was really involved, and she does a great job with her daughter. And so Monday night, she's like, let's go back over there tomorrow.
Oh, she's getting spoiled there. She's getting spoiled. And also, you were telling me before the show began, you guys were out with your parents, and you were spotted. Like, people know you now. What's going on? Is this the viral thing working out?
Yeah, we went to the pool in the afternoon in our subdivision, and right in front of the gate was a gentleman who was like, hey, aren't you the guy from that video? I was like, I don't know what video. I hope that's a good one. But he recognized me, and we chatted for a second. So Nick, if you're watching, I appreciate you. You also know where my parents live now, so your responsibility to take care of them if I'm not there.
Keep it on the DL, bro. Keep it on the DL.
Right, but that was cool, and to get recognized in front of my family, and especially my parents, who were like, "Well, is this really a thing that you want to be doing?" The interaction with Nick was super positive. He was very respectful of our family space, and I thought it was amazing.
So he was kind of a fan.
Yeah, he follows the page and watches the pod, and it was amazing.
Speaking of fans, one thing that we often don't get to hear on any type of podcast is kind of the family stuff. And then one of the things that we're getting a lot of great feedback from about you is that you're willing to share and sprinkle in a little bit of family stuff in your stories and in your social media. But here's the question I want to get to is we don't hear a lot about from podcasters what their family, maybe their parents think about what they do. And so my first question for you this morning is, your parents are they watch the show. Tell the audience, how does your parents feel about what you're doing with this show and all this kind of the messaging and all the focus here?
I think they were a little apprehensive or concerned at first. We get into some sticky topics. They can see that there are a segment of society and a segment of people that would not like what we're saying. I think they're being very protective, really, if anything. But they see the growth, they see the message, and my father especially is extremely conservative. So they are extremely proud of what's going on.
So that's interesting that you use the word proud, but at the same time, they're coming from kind of a conservative cultural background. Unpack that a little bit for us, because there has to be a little bit of dissonance within the culture and support, right?
Yeah, I think at first they're like, Matt, do you really want to be putting yourself out there like this? Consider your family, consider your daughter. There are some crazy people out there in the world.
Every parent should say that to their kid if their kid's going online. It's like, you really want this being out there for everybody to see?
But my mom said that she actually started sharing some of the clips with her friends.
Really?
Yeah.
To give you guys context, his mom is like genius level, 5 master's degrees, PhD, whatever, like super educated, like super sophisticated, super intelligent. So for her to share this stuff, must be hitting some sort of tone with her.
Yeah, I think she's just being a proud mom now.
Oh, fair enough.
Which I appreciate,
Can you really be a proud mom about this type of material?
I don't know. What if your kid was putting out this type of stuff, bringing all the eyes?
Seriously.
And with the positivity, because majority of the comments I get, majority of the messages I get are overly positive. But there is that small segment of people that are just so filled with hate.
They are filled with hate. And anything that you say, they automatically associate with a negative imagery or a negative kind of idea. What is that all about?
I don't understand why there are so many people out there that are so angry and so mad at the world.
Interesting. So here, that's queuing up a great question, Matt. And the question I have for you on this 4th of July week celebrating America is, Matt, do you love America?
I love America.
Why do you love America?
It is the best country in the world.
Tell me more.
We talk about here all the time that there are issues with the system, that there is establishment, that they are trying to control us. We understand that that's the basis of our discussion. Even with all that strife, this is still the best place in the world.
But why so for you? What has America done for you, Matt?
I think it's opportunity. It's that me in the corner of Georgia have this little podcast with you, my friend, and we're able to get our word out everywhere. We always talk about, oh, they're censoring us, they're shadow banning us. We say all these things, but the reality is that anyone watching or listening right now is watching and listening. We are able to put our thoughts out there. And yes, they may make it difficult for us sometimes, but we have the ability to do so.
I almost wonder if it's one of those things where in America you are free to do it. You just have to deal with the ramifications and the potential censorship. Whereas in other countries, they won't let you even do it, and they won't even let you post it. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, in America, at least you can post it, and they'll cut it out later, or they'll censor you later. But at least you could post it, right? In some countries, you can't even post that shit.
And if people were to take the clip or whatever else and they were to share it amongst themselves, it is not getting taken off. In certain countries, you can't even share it in the background.
So America to you is a land of opportunity
And freedom.
and freedom. So let's back up a little bit because there's a lot of people out there. Welcome everybody to the Matt Kim Podcast Show. Smash the like button, subscribe. But there's a lot of people who don't know who you are. And so for you to say it's a land of opportunity, and they're like, well, who's this talking head? Give us a little bit of context. How have you leveraged America? How have you leveraged America's freedoms to become the man of industry that you are today? Tell us a little bit about kind of your upbringing and how America has given you the opportunity to get to the point where you can have a podcast like this.
Well, I was born and raised in this country. I think I'm very fortunate to that. My parents came here for school and somehow decided they're going to stick around. They got jobs here. They worked here. Both my parents are citizens of the United States now. My wife is a citizen, which was probably the proudest moment of her life.
Oh, really?
Outside of us having our daughter. Yeah. She was so ecstatic when she got her citizenship.
Why?
I think she just felt like she officially belongs, that she's a part of the system, that, it just made sense for her. And for her, I remember that she wanted me to take a million pictures. She was so happy. She was smiling the entire day. She studied really hard for her citizenship tests because she took that very seriously. And I don't know, it's hard to explain her feeling because I'm not her. But that moment, I've never seen her smile so big.
Really?
She was ecstatic.
Now, let me conjure this up. So is it because she has a lot of gratitude for this nation that has provided her an amazing husband, amazing father, amazing dad now, obviously opportunities for education, upbringing? Is that kind of the outpouring of her feelings when she became a citizen? It was just gratitude and being thankful for the opportunity and the fact that you can give back or at least align yourself to the country that has provided you so much? Is that the narrative? Is that the story? Or is it the fact that she passed the bloody test?
I think it was
because I heard the test is pretty hard, actually.
I think it was validation that she belongs.
Oh.
And for her, I think just feeling a part of a community, to be able to go out there and say, I am now one of you. I think that just meant a lot to her.
And this was over decades ago. Yeah. So this was a different America than we live in today. And I would take a gander and say, actually, I know this for a fact, that most of my colleagues, friends, and network who became American citizens, the story's the same.
Yeah.
They're all ridiculously grateful. They're ridiculously happy. They're ridiculously supportive. Their families like, go, go, go. Like, rah, 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 support you. Awesome that you decided to become an American citizen. Like, this tends to be the immigrant story, especially if you've done it the legal route and the right way. And so I find it fascinating that there's more stories in abundance around people who are immigrants who become citizens of America, and it's a positive experience because they want to support, they want to align themselves with a country that they love. Is that a fair statement for your wife as well?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being at the ceremony and it was packed. I think there was maybe 50 or 100 people in there. And every single one of them, the vibe was just so good. The energy level was amazing. People were crying, people were smiling, people were just the outflow of emotion from everyone that was so proud, so grateful just to be a part of it. And for people to belittle that or people to say, I hate being American, which is the craziest thing to me.
It doesn't calculate.
It doesn't calculate to me. I don't understand why people would ever feel that way. Because when I see people go through the process and become and get that, it's just a piece of paper. To get that piece of paper saying that you're a citizen, that your rights are protected, that you belong here. For people to go against that is, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It almost makes me feel like, now this obviously is unconstitutional and this would never happen, but there have been moments in my life where I've considered that due to the trajectory of, let's just say, popular sentiment today, it is easy for us to say that part of the popular sentiment today is that there is a contingency of Americans who just absolutely abhor and hate America, which is fast. Like, it doesn't compute, doesn't calculate with me. And so within that trajectory of thinking, sometimes I wonder, when you turn 18 and you're an American and you were born here, should you go take the nationalization exam? Like, should you go through that to kind of prove your fidelity to America, or at least give you some context as to what has transpired so that you can be in a position to complain and be in a position to hate that which has given so much to you? I almost feel like that should be a requirement.
I think the downside of having absolute freedom, and we say absolute because it's a gray area. But the downside of having freedom is that you're going to have people, and you have to accept people that hate it because that's part of the freedom. If you have people that love it, you're going to have people on the other side that hate it. And you have to take that also. It's their right to hate America if they choose to do so. And we have to protect that.
Yeah, we definitely should. I just don't know, and you give me your feelings on this in a second. I don't know how you can live with that cognitive dissonance. Whenever I hear or think about an American that's complaining about America and getting to the point where it's just like, you clearly have just absolute disdain for the red, white, and blue, it always makes me think of that meme of that girl in an airport with her MacBook Pro and her Starbucks coffee next to her and the sticker on the MacBook Pro. You know what I'm saying? You've seen it? It's like smashing capitalism. Like it's like, bro, you have a $3,000 laptop, you got a $7 latte sitting next to you, and you're all about smashing capitalism. It's like, bro, like, who are you trying to trick here? I just don't understand how you can live with that amount of cognitive dissonance, where you can hate America, you can shit on America, you can say all these negative things, but you're doing it through all of the technology and all of the advancements, like your mobile phone, and especially like Twitter. Like, you're like, let's boycott Twitter while using Twitter. Bro, what's that all about?
I am not going to pay for my verified badge because I don't want you to, to see the system, but yet here I'm talking about it on Twitter.
Exactly. Fuck the system that I'm using right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for your services, but I still hate you. I mean, like, that wouldn't work in any other service industry, right? You wouldn't go to a restaurant and be like, thanks for letting me eat this food, I'm not going to pay for it now. It doesn't work like that. So what do you think, Matt, causes individuals to have such disdain and hatred for the country that they're living in? What do you think causes that?
I don't think people are really mad at the country. I think people are just unhappy with their own lives.
So they're projecting their own insecurities.
I think that's really what it is.
And they're choosing America to be.
I don't think people are inherently racist. I don't think people are inherently sexist or misogynist. I don't think people are inherently just bad people. I think most people are just so unsatisfied with their own lives, with the direction that their life choices have taken them, that they need a way to lash out. And politics is the easiest one to do it because it's so broad. And there's such a large community, an echo chamber that will say, I hate them, and like, oh yeah, I hate them too. It makes it easy.
Right. It's like an easy scapegoat, right?
Correct. But I think most people are just unhappy. People are unhappy maybe at home. Maybe they are struggling with their marriage. Maybe they're not getting along with their children. Maybe they hate their horrible boss. For whatever reason it is, there's so much anger. And instead of dealing with those problems, it's easier to blame other people.
So let's flash back 40 years, because that's essentially how long you and I have been alive. So if we flash back 40 years, America wasn't like this 40 years ago in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? And so what has transpired? What has changed from the 90s to the 2020s, where we have this huge contingency of very just unhappy individuals? Is it the fact that people were always unhappy and we just know about it now? Or has something been driving people towards this negativity? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. I think that there have always been unhappy people. You know, the book, The Bell Curve, right? Where, there's a segment on one side, segment on the other side. Most people are somewhere in the middle. I think that applies to all things in life. And I think there have been people that have always been unhappy, but now there's a voice and there's people and there's technology that helps amplify it. And as it gets amplified, people are relating to the anger, relating to the sorrow, relating to the woe is me. On the other side, there are extremists that are people relate to that. I think technology is just amplifying people's voices, but I think the sentiment has always been the same. Unhappy people are unhappy. Happy people are happy.
I almost wonder if it's one of those things where back in the day when you were unhappy, since there wasn't all these distractions like social media to dive into, like back in the day, since it wasn't mobile devices, there weren't cell phones, there wasn't TV and internet, you had to just deal with your unsatisfiedness. You had to deal with your own mental issues and your mental anguish, and you had to suck it in. You had to eat that shit, deal with it, and then move on to the next thing. I almost wonder if, due to social media and the network effect that we have today, people don't ever solve their own mental issues sitting by themselves. They don't mull through it. They don't grind through that suffering. Instead, they're like, well, there's an easy outlet for me. There's Reddit, where I can just absolutely spend 9 hours today talking about how I feel and how much I hate this or hate that, or I can complain about this. Back in the day, there was no Reddit. There was no outlet for your suffering and your frustration with your life. So you had to just sit there as a man. Let's make it real. It's 1975. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. You're unsatisfied with your marriage, your job, your kids just got in trouble for the second time at school. You're frustrated. You're seething. There's no Reddit to go to. You just have to deal with this shit. And I almost feel like that created hardier men. Let's just say men, for example, in this context, hardier men back in the day, because they couldn't complain and bitch to people who would support them and say, "Oh, pat, oh, rub. You hate America, you hate this, you hate that. It's terrible. Let me make you feel good." So is it that we have internet and we have all these outlets now for complaining that is creating all these beta ass cucks, or is it? or is it? I'm just wondering if it's social media is making that even worse. Is that the issue?
I think the currency of the world has changed. It's
Ooh.
no longer dollars. It's more eyes, views, clicks, likes, etc.
And you, out of all people, just in the last month, have certainly been prone to that.
Yeah, I feel very wealthy.
Where's the money, Will?
No money.
No one's telling me about all this money that's coming in.
But people, it's more of, because I see extremely wealthy, rich people who have unlimited money, and even them will do anything for clicks and views. It's more important to them than the actual money. People will sacrifice themselves or watch other people get sacrificed for the chance of possibly getting the viral click. We talk about this all the time. The guys who stand there and just video. It's so much more worthwhile. It's worth so much more as clout, as personal reach than dollars.
Well, you obviously have blown up in a big way in the last, couple weeks or so, and you're getting a lot of inbound opportunities. You're getting now brokers who are trying to get you into the marketplace of podcasts. Like, unpack that a little bit for us. How's that experience been in this new social currency of views and eyeballs? Are you getting hounded?
I thought that if we start a podcast and we start talking, we would do a podcast. I thought the podcast, foolish of me. maybe
I wouldn't say foolish. It's just naive. You didn't know. You don't
Not-
know what you don't know.
naive of me that I thought podcasts were honest and genuine.
Where's this guy been? Welcome to Earth.
And then you realize that there's an entire podcast economy behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Everything is paid for a click, paid for view, paid to be on each other. And all of a sudden, once I found that out, because so many these brokers and these agents and these other podcasts reach out and everything's money related. And I'm like, damn, I thought they were like being honest.
Maybe 20 years ago when podcasts started, maybe there was no marketplace for it. But now it's been, I wouldn't say commoditized. Has it been? Do you think it's been commoditized? Because that means value. That means value is essentially a diminishing return, and so they require a marketplace to make you even competitive.
I think so. I think it has been commoditized. I think that the value you get for what you pay is not equal. I don't know. And people ask me to do all these podcasts, and I'm starting to think maybe I don't want to do them.
Oh, so has this kind of let's just say the underbelly of
Yeah.
the podcast world, right? Every industry has the underbelly. So now you've taken a look at the underbelly of the podcast world. Has that soured your taste? Has that changed your mental models around this?
I'm torn. One idea is that you just start hitting all of these, right? Even if the views are real, even if the views are fake, even if it's not your demographic or people that you really speak to, eyes are eyes. And you just get yourself out there. The other side is we have something that works. We have something that's honest and genuine. Do we just go our route and let it build around us? Two very different ways to approach things.
If you were to put a gun, if someone put a gun to your head right now and say you have to choose, not sell out, but let's just say sell out, just to make it obvious.
Yeah, I don't think it's sell out. It's just a different market approach.
A different market approach. So the option is use brokers and use the marketplace approach versus continue to pave our own way. Which side would you land on if a gun to your head right now?
Oh, if I was forced, I would always choose go my own way. I think that's where we are most successful. That's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I feel like I don't have to give talking point answers. When you're on someone else's podcast, you have to prepare kind of what you're going to talk about. You have to have stories ready, and you maybe repeat them on different podcasts because if you start doing so many of them.
That's true.
And then all of a sudden, you don't leave yourself flexibility to change your mind. You don't leave your flexibility to have new ideas because you're pigeonholed to what you originally said.
Yeah, and then they pin you to the wall. It's like that's his talking point.
Correct. And I don't know if I like that. I like the idea that we have open discussion, that on any given day, maybe someone points something out, maybe we learn something new, and we're like, maybe they were right and we were wrong. It gives us ability to learn, gives us ability and flexibility to be wrong. And when you're out there just giving your one answer, it really takes away that flexibility.
It does constrain you.
Yeah.
So far, we have gone our own way, paved our own path, and let's be honest, it's worked out pretty well so far. And so if we continue this trajectory, what would you say would be part of if you were to extract any lessons learned from the last couple of weeks, what do you think are the things that have really enabled the success of this podcast so far?
I think it's just that we are very open, logical, and I wish I could show you guys kind of the backgrounds of what our normal conversation is like when we talk off camera. It is exactly like what we talk about today. There's no difference.
We were talking about this right before. We're like, we should just load up a camera when we're sitting out there in the lounge.
Yeah.
It's the same shit.
It's the same exact thing. There is no preparation. We have no kind of talking points that we really want to hit. This is what two mature men who talk about issues of the world, this is what it sounds like. And this is what we do on a regular basis. And I think having that little bit of extra honesty and genuinity is what people are resonating to.
Yeah, and it's candid. It's like there's no planning to it. It's just two mature guys who've been through life 4 decades deep, and we just want to talk honestly about what's going on in the world, whether it's from a news clip, whether it's personal, whether it's family, whether it's weekend plans, obviously 4th of July. I think the community and kind of the movement has been a big part of this as well. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that are really happy with what we're doing.
What was that pause for? That little genuine inflection right there. What was that all about?
I don't know if happy is the right word.
Okay.
I try to, choose my words carefully. And I don't know if happy is right, but the amount of support. that we get. I think it shows us what we're doing works. And it's not the fastest car, right? It doesn't get us to our goal the quickest, but I think it builds more solid base of people that really care about the world, care about our neighbors, care about the direction of this country. And I think that's really what we want to build. Again, going back to our original point and where we started, there are so many people in the world, and especially within this country, the United States, that are just livid. They are so angry at everything. And I think sometimes if we just have honest, open conversation, just one topic or one point or one conversation makes someone go, I didn't see it that way. And once you see that one, it kind of opens your worldview up to everything.
I really like what you just said there. There's a couple things I want to extract from what you just said there, Matt. The first thing that I want to extract is that the movement and the community and people who have been clipping these clips, I think we should give a shout out to one of our fans.
Oh, Grace?
And yes, we have to.
Love Grace Chong.
I mean,
love Grace.
She's been, I don't know if she's clipping them, whether she's having a production team clip them. Regardless, she's tweeting it out. So Grace, props to you. Big props. I hope you clip this because we're loving on you right now, girl. So we got more people like Grace, right?
Yes.
There's other people that are clipping. There are other people that are part of the movement. So big props, big thanks to everybody out there that's supporting what we're trying to do here.
So moving on to maybe more relevant topics of the day. Did you see what's going on in France?
Bro, so yes, the short answer is yes, because I'm kind of I connect to fringe news outlets and things that aren't generally being talked about in the mainstream media. And there is an absolute media blackout, in my opinion, to the major issues that are happening in France. Apparently, we are seeing the ramifications of mass immigration, which happened years ago. And what's interesting is I learned just this week, because of this situation, that apparently France doesn't take demographics of racial differences. Did you know that?
I did not know.
So they don't even know how many immigrants are in there. If you come into France, guess what? You're French now. Thanks to the French Revolution and the way that they've written their policies, for them it's illegal to discriminate against race. So they have So if you come in as an immigrant, even an illegal immigrant to France, someone can fact check me on this. You're French now. And so they don't have numbers on how many illegals they have, how much native French they have. They don't have numbers on how many are in these slums and in these places that they're putting them. And there seems to be a lot of, clearly there's a conflagration. People are pissed off. There are stores being burnt down. There are libraries being burnt down. Apparently there's this, some people would call it insurrection or revolution. You might know more than I, but from what I understand is there's a lot happening out in France right now, and a lot of it's not being covered.
So I think that's really my question. I have no idea what's going on in France right now.
Okay.
I see clips. I see headlines. I see, little videos of, I saw one that looked like Batman's coming out of a truck. And then I think that was fact checked as not correct. And then some clips or some news articles say that they are extreme right-wingers. Others will say it's immigrants and migrants. Others will people say it's a social revolution. I have no idea. I don't know who the good guys are, to be honest. I have no idea.
I'm in the same page. I don't think I have a good idea either. I'm just seeing things now and then.
And there's so much people talking about it, and people message me, hey, you got to talk about France. You got to talk about France. I'm like, as much as I look around, I have no idea what's going on.
So this would be an opportunity to call out to this global community in the Matt Kim podcast. If you're out in France, if you're out there, hit us up in Discord, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram, TikTok. Let us know what you're seeing. And actually, this makes me think about having like Matt Kim Correspondence. Actually, that kind of rolled off the tongue really nice. Matt Kim Correspondence. Guys who are out there, on the street, on the beat, give us ideas. Like if you're out there, let us know what's really going on, because the media apparatus. Actually, I saw a Twitter thread of a guy, and I could throw it up on Discord. A Twitter thread of a guy who's posted like 20 articles straight, saying that all of these articles are fake news. It's videos from like years ago. So like the propaganda machine is out in full force when it comes to France and the whole issues going on, because it's almost impossible to know what's true.
Yeah, I mean, the French propaganda machine is on overtime.
Oh yeah, big
right?
time.
They are trying to spin it however they want. And then we see all these articles that France is blocking people from sharing on social media within France.
That's right.
But then I have a friend who's in Paris right now, and he's posting like, "Oh yeah, Paris is awesome."
So, you know,
And he's like eating and drinking and
what
hanging out.
That's what my wife says.
So like, what the? I thought there was a civil war.
Yeah, true story. So I was talking with my wife and I asked her, I said, "Have you seen the stuff in France?" And she's like, "Oh, my friend's over there right now. She says she's in Paris. It's like all fine."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What is this matrix you're talking about?" Because my timeline's blowing up with like insurrection, you know, people with like machine guns. Do you see that one?
Yeah.
How are these refugees getting like belt loaded machine guns? How is that possible? Aren't those military grade? Like, shit, I want a belt loaded machine gun, bro.
Like, are the guns even real? Are the videos of people that's part of the propaganda, and are they paid to be actors for it? I don't know.
Can I just pause us for a second and extract ourselves meta? One of the things I love about what we're talking about here is that you and I can humbly look at each other in the eyeballs and say, I don't fucking know.
No clue.
Like, because if you think about it, so many other podcasts and of course the mainstream media, they always speak with authority. Even if they don't know what the fuck's going on. There was like, Putin's bad guy, Orange Man bad, right? Pepe the Frog is bad. Like, it's like, what? Do you have an opinion? I think what's really refreshing is you and I have both seen different sides of the matrix when it comes to France. But at the end of the day, we can both concede we don't know what's going on, right? And we're willing to be okay with that and willing to say it out loud to the audience. We don't know what's going on. If you want to be a Matt Kim correspondent, hit us up. Let us know what's going on out there in the world, because we don't know. The matrix is giving us different views, different vantage points, and certainly different narratives all the time.
It reminds me of the BLM movement and George Floyd. If you were not in America and you were in other parts of the world and you saw the news, you would see people rioting in the streets. And the narrative was that white cops are killing innocent black people. That was a narrative that was put out there.
Of course.
Actually, I remember seeing in Korea, people were doing BLM marches in Korea, in all of Asia, because that was the news, and we stand with them. There was the phrase or whatever it was. We know here that on the news we saw rioting. In our houses, we were fine. Right? It was not taking over the entire country. It was small segments, and yes, it was violent. Yes, it's not something that I would condone, but it didn't leak out that far. Is that what France is like? Because in France, the catalyst was a young man that was running away from the police, allegedly, and that he was killed. And that created this social rioting. Is it confined to small areas and the rest of the country is actually fine? That's all we see?
Probably.
I have no idea.
Because I saw some stuff about the Ukraine and just a couple weeks ago when Ukraine was back in the news, hot and heavy and all that stuff. And then there were videos of all these younger kids at clubs hanging out in Ukraine, in like Kiev or whatever.
Partying.
It's like, what's really happening? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So you wonder if it's one of those matrix things again in France, whether it truly is just a really small part of the population, but it's getting blown out of proportion. I wonder.
I think the media likes to focus on the minority of extremists, right? Because that's exciting. That gets clicks, that gets views. You know, like in Ukraine, I bet you majority of the people live their lives normally.
Oh, for sure.
And there's a segment of people that are actively probably at war, but it's not a majority. In France, there are people rioting, but it's not a majority. During BLM, there was a minority of people that were rioting, causing trouble. Most of the people were watching on TV.
And you have to wonder if it's one of those George Soros funded things again.
And that
I know the audience out there is going to be like, you know, but let's be honest. When people do their diligence, they look under the covers. They're like, interesting. It's just interesting that on the website there's these, let's just say, funding mechanisms like George Soros that are supporting these things. What that means, who knows? Maybe they're just giving them money. Are they giving directions? I don't know.
I think that's difficult for people who really want information, even if it doesn't affect you directly. They just want to know what's going on in the world. And it's so difficult to understand anything these days. How do you know who to trust? I don't know either.
I almost feel like it'd be kind of cool. So I'm getting an image in my head, Matt, of this wall with like 9 different screens, 3, 3, and 3. And each of those screens is playing a different mainstream media like BBC, MSNBC, right? CNN, right? Reuters, and it's all these different news agencies from around the world, so you can see how the propaganda is being propagated. I almost wonder if that'd be an interesting segment, because we could be the ones that are like, we got 12 screens. We know what the narrative is, right? And it's clearly not X or it's clearly not Y. It'd be pretty interesting to see.
Would we be brainwashing ourselves?
Well, we'd be in it. Well, if the media does their job well, then every single screen will have the same narrative where it's like, America is becoming a dangerous place for disinformation. America is becoming a bad place for America's like, they're all saying the same thing, right? You've seen that clip.
Yeah.
So it's got to be international as well, I'm sure.
I wonder what could be done. I do really like a page on Instagram called, I think it's called Real News No Bullshit.
Ooh, Real News No Bullshit. I haven't heard of that.
It is I think it's a really small group of guys. And they start, like when they were doing I found them when they were doing the water leak or the chemical spill in Pennsylvania or in Ohio, whatever it was. And everyone was saying, nothing to see here. And the people there were like, no, like people are getting sick. And it was a big deal in the news for a whole news cycle. And they like literally went there and like, what's really going on? So when they were talking about the border, instead of reporting what other people are reporting, they physically went to the border. These guys.
Real
Oh,
News.
they have a lot now.
Holy
they were
cow.
small when I first found them.
883,000 followers. Real News, no bullshit. So these guys are like correspondents that go on the ground on site.
These guys literally just go themselves. So they did a thing in Ukraine where what's really going on in Ukraine? Forget it. Let's go. And they report from actually there, which is, I think, really interesting. So they touch on all types of topics, and they are not a mainstream news page. I remember when they were doing the chemical leak in Ohio or Pennsylvania. I'm sorry if I'm messing it up. And they were just jumping in their car and following the trucks. Like, where are these guys going? They say they're taking the waste to this state. Are they really going there? And they would just follow them live stream from just following them.
Oh, that's right. I think they had a drone too, didn't they? I think I've seen these guys.
So I think they're really interesting. I think this type of independent reporting is the future. I don't know how long they last. I think they'll get shut down eventually. But we need to protect guys like this. I'm a huge fan. And I don't agree with everything they say at all. But the fact that they're willing to put their subs out there and the fact that they're reporting what they see, not what other people tell them to see, I think that's good enough for me.
So here's an interesting idea. If we had Matt Kim Correspondence, I'm still hooked on that. If we had Matt Kim Correspondence, would that dilute the overall theme and narrative of what we're doing?
No, I think that would be amazing.
Do you think it would?
Yeah. For example, if we had someone, because we haven't done an episode on the border yet, but before we did, if we had someone that was actually there.
It would be actually cool to go yourself at the same time.
Yeah, you know, my wife's like, where are you going to
go? I'm going to go to Texas, and I'm going to go see the border, and I'm going to go cry like at the fence. AOC.
I think it'd be cool just to get people actually from those areas chime in and let us know what's going on.
That would be so dope if we had like an entire global network of people that we could support lightly, right?
But that's also a slippery slope in itself.
Why?
I got messages. For example, I recently got a message from Iranian freedom fighters.
I remember you're telling me about this offline.
And they say...
I wasn't laughing about the issue with you.
But they say they are fighting for freedom in Iran, that they are a small but growing number of people that are really trying their best to fight for freedom, and that there are oppressive groups out there trying to not only hunt them, but keep them down. Or I feel like I should say it the other way. Keep them down and hunt them. And they said, Matt, can you bring light to this situation?
Well, you're doing it now?
And I was a little bit skeptical. Number one, who am I to comment? I don't really know what's going on. You can give me all the information you want. How do I know your story is the right story?
It's just not possible unless you fly out there and see it for your
Right.
own eyes.
How do I know that you're not a CIA implant trying to bait me to promote the wrong side?
Is this the time where we say Matt Kim is not suicidal? He loves his
I
life.
love my life. I love my family. There's no reason I would ever do anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are things I get concerned about. You know, how do I know that the information people are sending me are real?
Man, if you could create a mechanism to ensure that the correspondence and the information that you're getting from halfway across the world is valid and true, because even video, you can't trust video
No.
anymore.
It's just a clip of one, whatever the camera angle can see,
Yeah.
So and that's why I don't really overly like talking about international news. I don't speak the language. I can't fact check anyone. I can't read if it's English, I can read both sides, right? I can hear the extreme right, hear the extreme left, hear some people that are kind of in the middle, and make my own decision. If it is an Iranian,
It's kind of hard to fact check.
I consume whatever is given to me.
Yeah.
And how do I know that I'm not the puppet then?
You're getting played. So we are based in America. We are in Atlanta, Georgia. We love America, as we stated earlier in this podcast. It's July 4th weekend. And I'm feeling this patriotism rising up in my gut here. I'm not here to brand us as this, but it's going to come out of me, and it sounds like this: that Matt Kim podcast is America-focused news, America-focused color commentary. Would that be too constraining to say it like that? What do you think?
I would love to talk about global issues.
Mm.
I just feel like we need to be more educated. I think the problem with mainstream media is that they have no idea, just like we do. They don't know. They don't have any more information that we have. They don't have any access to any more information that we do. But yet they just push it out there like it's fact.
I like this conversation.
And if they just took a little bit of care to ask the questions that we're asking, is the information I'm getting legitimate? Maybe we'd have better information out there. But if you send me a clip that I think is going to go viral, I will take that position, the news will, just because I want to be able to share that viral clip.
Yep.
The clicks and views are more important than anything else.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's truth is not a currency of value anymore. It's the underlying currency. The eyeballs and the clicks are worth more than the truth. They're worth more than reality, because at the end of the day, reality doesn't pay. It's the eyeballs that pay.
Yeah.
Right. What did the Red Hot Chili Peppers say? Right. Everything's made in a Hollywood basement. Wasn't that one of their songs or something like that? And so at the end of the day, it's really hard. So there's a problem, clearly. I think one of the reasons why I like this conversation is we're honing in on a very distinct and global problem of veracity and truth and validation of what we're consuming. And what you're bringing up is such a powerful issue. And I think everyone in the world deals with it, which is, how do you know what is true? And how do you filter out the bullshit from what's really going on? And I'm wondering if there's a way, I'm sure there are some independent news organizations trying to figure this out. I wonder if there's a way technologically in the future that can truly validate whether that live stream or that video or what they're saying is actually true. Man, if you were to solve that problem, you could create a news organization that's actually legit for the first time in forever. I think that would be an amazing problem to solve.
So it's that in
Is
itself,
Matt Kim podcast going to be the solution for the global news media apparatus? Is that what's going to be?
that in itself creates its own problems.
Mm.
So James O'Keefe, when he left Project Veritas, or he got kicked out of Project Veritas,
That's right. He's creating that system right now.
he created his OMG network, right? And in that, he's given all these correspondents spy cameras.
Yeah, it's like a $1,200 package. It's got a high def camera, a microphone, the whole setup.
And maybe what he's trying to do, maybe his intent is honorable. However, now he's got 2,000 spy cameras out there. Like, is that a good thing? I don't know if that is either.
Hide your wife, hide your kids.
You know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
On any given day, a random person that you're speaking to, maybe honestly, is trying to gotcha. And if he's doing it for the side of good, if for good, someone can easily be doing it for the side of evil.
Yeah.
So now we've opened up this brand new can of worms of everyone spying on everybody.
So let's talk about that. You're not wrong.
It's crazy.
You're not wrong, because I actually had that thought when I heard James O'Keefe is going out. He's creating these like mana packs where it's like, if you want to be a correspondent or you want to be an investigator, if you want to be an investigator and you work as an employee of one of these major industry companies that are doing malfeasance, like let's just say healthcare companies, something like this, then he will provide you the tools and the technology to spy effectively on your manager or your leadership. I get it. Like, he's outfitting and he's equipping these people to do this work, but at the same time, he's now created a system where anybody can learn how to spy effectively on other people. And it almost diminishes the entirety of conversations with people and maybe leadership or management that you work with, because you just don't know whether you're being spied on or not. It creates a new level of like caution, don't you think?
If you are a person who works for one of these large companies that may be in the gray, and you're the one that gets the camera kit,
bro,
you are looking for something to catch.
Of course.
And you may even click start at the right moment because you want your clip to hit the news.
Bro, you're hitting on the human side.
And all of a sudden, you have the same exact situation that you created that you were fighting against.
Yeah.
How do you stop that? And I get it. Maybe he really wants to find people. But at the end of the day, he also needs to find content.
Man, this is so hot on your hot because right now because we are in with Matt Kim podcast, we are in a moment of growth, massive growth, massive demand. And the question is, stay true to roots, go for the clips, go for the views, go for the eyeballs, or stay true to our focus. And so I think this stuff hits home for you on a deeper level, right? Because we could totally sell ourselves out if we wanted to, but we're not going to, and we're focused on our path. But you're not wrong. It creates this conundrum of like, now that I am equipped with this gear, now I have to find the content. And the content could be true, or it could be forced, it could be fake, right? Or it could be maybe an innocent person could get caught in the crossfire, right? I mean, this is you're coming up with an intriguing conundrum now.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know if you're being spied on, number one. You don't know who has these packages, number two. And number three, if you're a manager, director, VP, or leader of one of these, say, companies that are in the gray, you ain't going to be dating nobody. You ain't going to be going out with nobody, especially if they like, you meet them on Tinder and they're like, one of the first questions they ask you is, tell me about your job at the cigarette company. And tell me about this nicotine thing. You know, it's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to talk to you about this because I'm going to probably end up on James O'Keefe, right?
And how do you know that that person is willing to sacrifice their own career just so that they can also go viral?
Okay, can I tell you something? This is, some people might get offended by what I'm about to say, but I saw this funny clip. I can find it, put on Discord later. I found this funny clip of this guy who categorized all of the James O'Keefe people who get caught on camera, and it was like 99% of them are all gay guys. Like, seriously, if you want to get now, someone correct me if I'm going to find the clip, but someone correct me if I'm wrong.
We're going to have to fact check you on that one.
Seriously, it's almost like if you're a gay guy and you work for a in the gray company, don't go on.
Don't do it.
Don't go on dates, man. What's it? Well, I don't even remember what's the social media site for gay guys? Grindr. Don't go on Grindr. Don't
act like you don't know.
Yeah, don't go on Grindr. Don't be opening your mouth to that cute dude that you just found on Grindr at the bar. If he's starting asking about your job, you're probably gonna get pwned.
And that sucks because sometimes you legitimately just want to meet people and have honest, open conversations.
Yeah, but let's be honest. When you were dating your wife, now we're going way back. Were you talking about your job?
No.
Like on the first dates? Come on.
But it prohibits people from being open with one another. Now everyone has to live so guarded.
That's your point. Your point is with all this spy stuff getting out there in the world and the economic cost of being a spy these days is nothing. It doesn't make you wonder whether you're being recorded, right? It's a good thing you and I aren't in the dating market and we're not gay. Well, at least not yet.
I I think that's something that we should be concerned of. You know, I get it that we want to catch people in the act. And that was really big for a long time, right? The what were the shows? Those Catch a Predator or things like this, right?
Yeah, those were deemed illegal, right?
I think so.
I think they were
Where's
deemed
the line
illegal
here?
because they were setting people up, right? They were saying things that were setting people up, and yeah, the intention was wrong, but in the legal arena, there's gray area of what is said in the intent, right? And so,
And once something is filmed and put on the internet, it's there forever.
yeah, your life could be ruined.
And anyone can get access to what you do, what you say, how you feel. And then they will judge you. They will ruin your business. They will go after your family, which is crazy because we willingly put ourselves out there. But at least that's my choice. That I've thought about the ramification. I've thought about my family. And this is something that we've consciously decided we're going to go ahead and do. There are people out there who have not said yes to that, but yet forced into that place. And maybe they were doing something bad. Maybe they're not. But who made that person filming the judge of that?
Ooh.
Right? Just because they think something is shady. Like if you're a entry level employee at a corporation and you're like, I think what they're doing is shady. Do you really know? You're first year.
Yeah.
What do you really know?
You're on the ground level. You don't know anything.
You know what they want you to know. You have no idea what they're actually doing behind the background. So to be like, oh, I got them. Who made you the judge and jury?
That's a fair statement. Well, there are many states that have no consent laws where no consent is required to record audio, video, and we live in Georgia, and Georgia is a no consent. Like we don't, I can record you at any time. For example, like in California, I have to tell you if I'm going to be
I
recorded.
thought it was just one side. I think some states only one person has to give consent of a two-person conversation.
Is that right?
I think it's gray.
It's
gray.
It's one of those laws that you don't care about until you're caught up in some sort of snafu or some issue, right? Like again, nobody cares about the law until you're entangled in it, and then you realize, oh shit, maybe I wasn't as protected. But no one goes around considering themselves and thinking about, should I say this? Should I not say this? Like well, at least I hope people are living like that. I don't live like that, but I think what you're talking about is a movement towards more self-censorship because people don't know. And it sounds, if we go to the logical extreme of everything that we're talking about here, it's truly Big Brother, where we're having family members, we're having network, we're having friends, like rat us out. Like, who do you know to trust?
Well, and that leads to a really dangerous place because all of a sudden everyone's filming everyone's gotcha moment, and all of a sudden the government's like, hey, do you know what? I'll solve this problem for you. We will just block things for you. And all of a sudden we're like, yes, thank you, government. Thank you for fixing our problem. Now that the video I don't want online, you can take it down from me. And now we've willingly given them our power. That's a scary slope because we didn't know we needed them, but they convinced us we need them.
Well, bringing up a topic here, the government convinced us 40 years ago that racism was okay, especially in schools. Now, we've had I'm switching the topic here. We've had a recent thing from the court system that says that it's no longer okay to be racist in school, like school applications in like private businesses. Have you heard of this?
Of course, the affirmative action
Yes,
ruling
the affirmative
by the
action.
Supreme Court.
Yes.
I just want to state, number one, clearly, that most people have no idea how the Supreme Court works.
Yeah.
They don't make laws because I put up a short clip about it, and all these people said, "Oh, but they're going to allow all these legacy people. They have allowed these legacy people." That was not part of the ruling. You can't take an issue and add on to it. That's just not what the Supreme Court does. They take an issue that's already been through the court system, and they rule on the constitutionality of that ruling. That is what they do. They do not make laws. Yep. So if a court case about affirmative action about race goes through the court system, they can only rule on that. Yep. They can't just be like, oh, I'm going to add other things to it. Yep. It's just not in their power. So for people who are like, oh, but they allowed the legacy stuff, start a separate lawsuit.
They're not allowing anything.
No, start another lawsuit, get that through the court system, and then we'll see if they can rule on that or not.
Exactly. You have to have a real case that has gone through judgment, gone through diligence, gone through the entire court system, and then the Supreme Court can look at that and say, is that constitutional or not? If it's not constitutional, let's take a relook at it and reconsider the ruling on it. People get that confused. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I had some people talk to me about this as well. The Supreme Court doesn't make laws.
No, not at
They
all.
just tell you good or bad.
Yep.
Like that was bad ruling. That was good ruling. It is aligned with the Constitution or misaligned to the Constitution. But if let's just say it's misaligned to the Constitution, the Supreme Court still can't do anything. They just say it's not constitutional, so go fix it. Go through the process again so that you can rejigger this thing, I guess, to the where it will be constitutionally aligned, right?
And people talk about, oh, there are 6 conservative judges and there are 3 liberal. And people say, oh, it's a stacked court, 6-3, etc. The reality is a conservative Supreme Court judge is considered conservative because they are more adhered to the wording of the Constitution, whereas liberal Supreme Court judges look at the intended meaning of it,
and it's mostly
their interpretation of the Constitution. That's really the political difference between those two. It's not ideology. All of these Supreme Court judges have been vetted, recommended mostly by liberal law professors.
Not wrong.
So it's not an ideology thing. People have to let that go. It's how do you interpret the Constitution? That's the difference between conservative and liberal Supreme Court judges.
And that's why there's more than 3, right? There's multiple judges that can be part of this conversation to make rulings on it. But again, I think the major piece that's missed, and even mainstream media misses this because they want to make clicks and they want to get everybody hot and heavy about this. The reality is the Supreme Court doesn't make any laws.
No.
They're just the arbiters who say, hey, that was a bad decision, guys. Maybe we should relook at that. That's essentially, like, if we look at it from a real light lens, it's like, yeah, that's a bad decision. Maybe we should relook at that. It probably hurt more people than helped. So if we talk about the examples of affirmative action, certainly schools are a big deal. It's coming up in the news a lot these days. Can you bring up that clip, Will, of what's that black lady, Joy? Did you see that
Joy
clip?
Reid, where she said,
she admits, the only reason I got into Harvard is because of affirmative action. So if we interpret that a different way, it means that you were actually retarded. And the only reason you got in is because of the color of your skin is what you're saying. I don't know if I would want to admit that.
that's a weird thing to kind of put out there.
Did I misinterpret that wrong? Is that the old ultra MAGA conservative way of interpreting that? I mean, I would never go to anyone ever and say the reason I have all these graduate degrees and I've graduated is because of. I would never say that. That's furthest from my truth that I could possibly conjure up, and I find it fascinating that she was so vehemently unaware that the message she's giving to the world is, yeah, the only reason I got into this great school is because of my melanin level. Like, come on, guys. Like,
I think there's a tricky
there you go.
one. Yeah.
Joy Reid has claimed the only reason she was admitted to Harvard was because of affirmative action as she slammed the Supreme Court's decision to end it. The way that they worded that, end it, they decided that one ruling was unconstitutional. MSNBC host 54 made comments on Thursday while reacting to the court's landmark ruling to ban colleges from using race as a factor when admitting students. So here's the question to Matt Kim. Do you think race should be a factor through the admissions process for universities?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I think the argument, right, on one side is that there is a group of people that have been oppressed historically and they need a boost. They need an advantage to catch up and level the playing field. That's the word I hear, right? Level the playing field.
Okay, so let's just sit on that then. When what you just said asserts a very divisive idea that certain people need help. Is that a bad thing? That certain people need help. Now, there's a judgment in there, right? So you're creating a judgment, aren't you? And saying that these people need help. So you're saying, let me track it. So you're saying that based on your determination, these people need help. Why?
And who made that determination on who and what people?
Yeah.
And that itself is subjective.
Yeah, totally.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I think, well, for example, and I've made this argument before, if you are a university, a predominantly white university, and you are known as the university that only admits white people. The market will decide what company will hire from that university, what consumer will buy from that company. They can't do that anymore. The market has power, and the market will decide. We've seen it with Bud Light.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen it with Target.
Mm-hmm.
That if you go too extreme on your own ideology, that the market will say enough is enough. If a university try to do that and say, we are not going to let any minorities in and we're going to pick to only one type of people, the market will show them that your school is no longer valid, that we will not hire from you, and we won't buy from the companies that hire from you. Let the market decide. There's enough people out there and enough diversity in this country, enough acceptance out there where we can let it self-heal. We don't need the government telling us what to do.
Exactly.
There's no situation where more government is ever the better answer.
Yeah, the government's pretty much failed at it. Whenever the government injects itself into any equation, they just make it worse. All right, absolutely. So I in complete agreement with you. I was thinking in my head as you were saying this, I was like, yes, absolutely. If there was a college who says that they're only going to admit white people, yes, do that. Make it abundantly clear to the world the dividing line between you, your philosophies, your worldviews, your mental models, and let that be absolutely abundantly clear. Yes, do that. And let the market decide. Let the market... You don't like the fact that they only support these types of people? Great. Don't give them money. Don't give them market share. Don't let them advertise. Pull your advertising dollars. Do that. I think that is the way the world should run, is let the market decide whether you're worthy. I saw this meme that was so funny from this, I guess it was a coffee shop or a bakery or something like that. They had a sign that said, thanks to the recent, ruling by SCOTUS or whatever, we're no longer going to be servicing MAGAs or conservatives or something like that. And I was like, it was the meme of the guy whispering in their ear going, your terms are acceptable. It's like, yeah, great. Let the world know that you're no longer going to serve MAGA people or conservative people. Amazing. Thank you so much for letting us know where you stand so I can no longer patronize your establishment.
There are extremists on the left. There are extremists on the right. Majority of us live somewhere in the middle. The majority of us are good people with good intentions. I think if you just let the market decide on how to handle these types of situations, I think we need to have more faith in ourselves and stop looking for the government to make our decisions for us. I think if given the opportunity, people will make better decisions.
So can you steel man an argument as to why affirmative action in college and universities is a good thing? Can you conceive of an argument where that affirmative action is a net positive? Is that possible for you to conjure up? I'm curious.
You would have to truly believe that the system has been against you for decades, for generations, and that you have no hope out. If you have no hope, I can understand why you would think that's a good thing. If for just a little bit that you believe you have an opportunity to make your own destiny, how can you side with it? You're in charge of your own destiny, regardless of the hand you're dealt in life. You can figure a way out. I've met some of the most richest, most successful people I know came from literally dirt, poor, nothing.
And let me interject. They span the gamut of diversity.
Every color.
Every color.
Every color.
Yeah, obvious. I knew that.
And right now, we're in a day and age where the playing field has been leveled by technology.
No doubt.
Every 5-year-old has access to unlimited information, unlimited learning. You can't say that they are smarter because they have better schools. No, we all have the same school. It's called a phone.
Not wrong.
You will learn more on YouTube University by yourself than a school can ever teach you. There is no handicap. If anything, whoever spends most time self-learning are the ones that will be most successful. No excuses. It's not like, oh, certain segments of population don't have access anymore, so they can't learn. That's bullshit. It doesn't fly anymore.
That is bullshit. Yeah.
Everyone has access to. You can learn how to code when you're 3.
Bro, say less. Absolutely.
You can start coding and making money at 6 years old if you really wanted to. We've seen 12-year-olds make millions of dollars in the stock market, trading crypto, right? Making their own content, copywriting, art, million different ways where you can make money at any given age, wherever in the world you are.
I mean, this podcast is proof positive that you can build something from nothing just using YouTube University.
Correct.
Now, I'm not going to give YouTube all the credit here, but peace, we did use YouTube to figure out how to set all this up,
Yep.
some parts of it, right? And so for the assertive, for the initiative individuals out there, the ones that are looking forward to bettering themselves, you're saying that they have access to all the free information out there on their mobile device, and so there's the playing field is level. And to my question, you cannot steel man an argument in regards to affirmative action. Is that what you're saying?
Unlimited learning available to you for the cost of your mobile subscription.
You're not wrong.
You don't have to spend $1 on any other educational program.
CodeWarrior.com, guys. Started my daughter on coding at 6 years old. It's $99 a year. They'll learn all the code that they'll ever need, and it's in a video game Minecraft format. Like, seriously, it's my greatest example. It's like, do you want to learn a skill set that will enable you to never be hungry and always have a job opportunity? Learn to code. So, 6 years old, I got my daughter into coding, codewarrior.com. Check it out, guys. Totally worth it. You get to play a game, you get to unlock achievements, do all this fun stuff, and learn how to write code. Like now she's a tween, 12 years old. Like, she can do all this stuff now, and it's just because we had the internets and we had access to this stuff, right?
If you are feeling stuck, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, do your day job, support your family. In the evenings, just turn off Netflix. Just watch one less show a day. Just watch one less game a day. Just drink 3 less beers a day. And easily you find time to learn something new.
True that. We've talked about this on multiple podcasts in the past.
And you don't even have to do something just because it makes money. You can make money by doing something you like or appreciate or you're passionate about. Unlimited opportunities out there. You just got to turn it off and turn something else on that's learning.
You got it. Absolutely. So you can't steel man a case for affirmative action. So in Matt Kim's opinion, where do you want this SCOTUS ruling to go? Do you want, are you looking forward to the opportunity where they truly dismantle affirmative action across the board? Is that what you're looking forward to? Is that the right path for America?
I've dealt with government contracts many in my life. And in some of the larger federal contracts, there are preferences and points you get for being a minority-owned women business.
Certainly, yeah. Certainly the apparatus supports these types of things. Yeah, for sure.
The amount of large corporations that bring in a women minority-owned business just to put onto their letterhead and do literally nothing to the project except take a percentage cut, it's crazy.
I know that too much too, man.
The system is flawed.
It's so broken.
It's broken.
So broken.
And I get it. You think because the headlines tell you that these programs are good. Let me tell you at the top where these programs are actually being used, it's all waste. And no one is benefiting.
No,
they're just spending more money.
You're not wrong. I've done government contract too. So they have hundreds of millions of dollars earmarked for diversity contract vendors only. And you're exactly right. These companies, I used to joke when I was a government contractor, Matt, I used to joke that I need 5 things. I need a lesbian woman of color who is a military vet, Native American, disabled. If I could find a lesbian, Native American, black, ex-military, has some sort of ailment, If I could get all 5 of these in one person, I would be able to suck up millions of dollars of government contracts because I just put her on the board. She owns 51%, and all this earmarked money comes to me, and we don't actually deliver shit.
Yep. All you got to do is put your name on a piece of paper.
So if you are a lesbian, black, disabled, Native American Army veteran, please reach me at the Bitcoin Lambo. I have earmarked government contracts ready for you.
So I don't know if these programs that are meant to help people actually help people.
They don't.
That's why I'm concerned about all of it. Because I get it. In theory, it sounds like a great idea. Let's help people that are disadvantaged. I understand.
Yeah, but you have to define disadvantage. And that's such a sliding rule.
Yeah. Like, it's so subjective, right?
Yeah.
Who decides that?
I mean, you want to know the greatest disadvantages? Having being raised in a family without a father. Like, that's the greatest disadvantage, in my opinion, that you could ever have. So regardless of anything else, if you were raised in a family without a father, you're already at great disadvantage. So that means that most of America and the people being born in America all should apply for affirmative action because they're all ridiculously disadvantaged.
Can we do next week's episode about that topic?
We can talk about that.
I think that's the one. I have a friend who is going through a very amazing person, and she's gonna have she's gonna have a son on her own. Maybe something that we can speak to her on.
We can definitely cover that topic. Let me give you my roundabout kind of tail end for this affirmative action. This is Peter's opinion on the Matt Kim podcast. I think it's a nothing burger. And the reason why I think it's a nothing burger is because affirmative action at the university level is too fucking late. You need to focus on early childhood education. Like, that's where it matters. Like, early childhood education, middle school education, that's where it actually... But by the time they're 18 and ready for college, they have already had 18 years of bad habits, bad culture, bad living standards, bad educational support, no mentors, no father in the house, bad community. Like, they have 18 years of cropped up dysfunction. You think at that point they're even prepared for college? Like, let's be intellectually honest. If you come from that type of background, are you and there's this program that says, you come from this dysfunctional background where everything's jacked up, you never actually learned how to read, you never actually learned how to write, and so we're going to lower the standards and inject you into one of the hardest university programs humanly possible. It's too late. That's too late, Matt, in my opinion. So I think the whole affirmative action for universities was a nothing burger and a waste of time since inception, because it's the family that matters and the early childhood education that matters. Like, you're already broken by 18. There's no way you're going to succeed in college, even if they lower the standards. Like, I saw this one Reddit thing I have to talk about. I saw this one Reddit post from a university teacher, and she was lamenting about this university's class this year and saying that she's given them books, none of them know how to read it. The words are too big. It's because in high school, they never learn these words. So she's just like, hands up, I give up. How can I teach these kids when they can't even read basic English? I mean, I think the university system is way too late. You got to start out at the elementary school. You got to focus on families. Maybe we'll talk about that for the next podcast.
The education system is not there to educate your children. It's to babysit them. It's your responsibility as a parent to make sure they are learning on their own.
Agreed. Amen.
If you just try to do the bare minimum of what our flawed education system tries to instill and teach to our children, your kids are going to be behind. It's not easy to get them to do more, but you have to. That's just it. You have to push them to do more. And if you're like, I did the bare minimum of school and I don't understand why people are not accepting me, you didn't do enough.
I mean, there's a function of hard work increases the chances of success. And that might sting to hear to some people who are saying, I had disadvantage. It's like, we're all dealt the cards of fate. You were dealt a hand. I was dealt a hand. You deal with it. Like, you can complain to the high heavens that you were dealt a shitty hand. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You're going to whine?
And if you are watching this or listening to this on your phone, your hand is better than most.
Bro, I mean, you and I were born in an age where we didn't have access. We had to go to fucking card catalogs at the library. Do you remember that shit?
Yes. The
Do you
Dewey
remember
Decimal System.
The Dewey Decimal System. We had to go to card catalogs. Like, it takes you kids 14 seconds to Google an idea. We had to go ride our bikes to the public library, go look up the fucking card catalog, walk into an aisle, couldn't fucking find the book, go back to the card catalog, ask the librarian, where's this one resource for this one report that I needed to do in 3rd grade? And they're like, well, it's supposed to be in the card catalog. You go back to the card catalog. You can't find this fucking thing. I'm projecting an insecurity because this actually happened. Like, I spent an entire day, I remember, in 3rd or 4th grade, looking up a resource for this one project, and I think, if I get it correctly, I never fucking found it. When in today's world, you would have found it in 15 seconds. Like, I spent an entire day trying to figure that shit out, and I couldn't get it right. Like, guys, you have access to the globe on your phone. You have no excuses not to succeed. I mean, go on any YouTube, type in success, you'll find guys who tell you how to succeed. Like, seriously, I don't know. Maybe it's just my attitude.
Thank you, Peter.
Peace out, guys.
Have a good day, everybody. See you next week.
Oh. Good shit.
Good.
Hope that was good. Oh, yeah, well, that was an hour.
Oh, we went. I started maybe 20 minutes after.
It was good.
That was good. Well, now you don't want to be the boss.